Hello, hola, bonjour. It is, well, I'm doing this reading on Saturday because I always have to do them early so that they can be released at midnight the day of. But this is your reading for Sunday, April 13th, or actually it's more political, but I'll try to weave together. It's hard to do that with the tarot unless I do two separate readings, and then the video gets really long. But definitely for the astrology, I can read it both ways. But what is it? What's happening? What be happening politically Sunday, April 13th? Right there. Oh, well, of course. No surprise here. Yeah, it's all about fear, tyranny, control, blindness. And that's what the dark forces do for work. That's their job. We don't have to take the hand of fear, ever. But it certainly does have us all inward, looking more inwardly. And then also, to read this politically, of course, this would be people working hard, feeling isolated because, well, this might be partly the disillusion that's going on with, MAGA people are, well, not all of them, but the ones who have critical thinking skills and are not, like the ostrich with their head in the sand or the hands over the ears going, no, won't listen to anyone else or won't look at some other information besides what's on Fox News. They're probably feeling really isolated. And then other people are starting to look more inward to, like what's going on, right? Because when things go crazy in the outer world, you have to go inward in order to try and find your light. It's always right there. The love and the light are always right there. We just have to be more focused on the inward levels to find it. But politically, what's going on? They are just working to control and isolate us, to get us into that divided. Because remember, rule number one is that we can trust that Trump is going by Putin's playbook. It's the propaganda. It's been, come on. Like, for how long has he had this agenda that he's playing out for Putin? It's just been years and it's been decades. And now he's finally, back in a position of power where he can just do it again. And more people are like, no, wait a minute. But that's how they work it, is they try to get us to divide and isolate from each other, separate from each other. That is the pure definition of sin and evil, is separation from the love and the light. Those chains around the neck can just be lifted right off and people could, walk away. And eventually they will. But things are really pushing it. That's the thing is, with the psychopathy and the malignant narcissism, same thing. I'm just being redundant. Eventually, because it rears its ugly head, psychopathy and that misuse of power goes up, and that's why the yin-yang symbol is the way it is. It's supposed to hold the light and the divine masculine and divine feminine together. But the one side, the right side, is like, just like rearing up with all this like awful power. Like, well, I don't know, what would the devil sound like? Like, And if we back down and receive that, then it just keeps spinning into that negative circle of, but it's finite. Fear is finite. Because at some point it stops. Now, if we're in the abundant circle of love, it just keeps growing because it's reality, right? So it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and it's a beautiful thing. But they are backing themselves into a corner, and everything's about to blow up. I don't know how long it's going to take. I imagine over this next month, I'm positive that within a month or so, it's going to, I don't know if it's going to totally blow up, but things are going to drastically change. And I can tell that because of the astrology. So yeah. Okay, let's look at the astrology. So here's the chart for today. Now, it's not a whole lot different than it was from yesterday because the full moon chart that I showed you was from, I think, 5:22 p.m., if I remember correctly. And this is only 12 hours later. But you can see that the moon has traveled 6 degrees away from the sun, which was the full moon with the opposition was 23 degrees. And now, at that 29th degree, the anaretic degree, the last degree of every sign, it makes things more intense. And remember, the moon, I'll keep repeating things so that they get kind of just absorbed in the brain and you can understand where I'm coming from. The moon is the mood of the public. And the mood of the public is people are coming together in big ways because they know something's off. See all these 3 inconjuncts here? These are really, well, they're not strong aspects, but they're tight orbs, and they show that people are feeling like off kilter, off balance, off base, feeling like there's something off. You're like ill at ease, and you can't stay centered. You can, but your mind goes kind of nuts, and you have to do a lot of deep breathing and sitting and relaxing and letting go of the brain, and get to that place inside where you're okay no matter what. But when you have existential fears that are being triggered, Neptune in Aries can do that because Aries is all about existence. And Neptune is the feeling of disillusion, and things are dissolving right before my eyes. Literally, Aries rules the head and the eyes. So, protect your eyes. Be very careful, especially with all the blue light. Looking at all these things. That's why I read from paper as much as I possibly can. But anywho. This opposition going on here is, and it'll get, it's not going to get a whole lot stronger because the moon is going to break into Scorpio, but things will get more intense in Scorpio. So it's still going to stay, pretty intense for the day. But to have these other 2 inconjuncts to Mercury, which is also at that really close to that anaretic degree in Pisces, and Mercury in just a couple of days will be in Aries. So things are gonna, and then Mercury's it's still conjunct, but remember the approaching energy as the planets are coming together, the approaching orbs are stronger. It's like a full moon. When you have the full moon, you start feeling it more and more and more. Then it becomes legally full. In astrology or astronomy terms, like legally full. And it's like a fever pitch. It's like bam, and then it releases, and then it doesn't feel as strong. It backs things back down. So we're at the backing down phase of the Libra full moon, but it triggered a release of all these. We have all these questions now, right? Like, well, more and more people, we don't, we know what's going on. But other people, because Neptune rules the masses, and in Aries, they're starting to think and see. Maybe their eyes are opening. Maybe some people who voted for Trump are looking at things in a new way with Neptune and Aries. So it's our job to just hold the love space and do our best, not to separate. You can name what's going on. You can identify the challenges and what's going on without identifying that person as being, bad, right? Because it's a problem with the mind. It's a problem with the belief system. That's why, when we have the Hermit, it's all about going inward and asking, well, wait, is that really true? That's why Virgo rules this card, because we are making distinctions and we're trying to find divine order. Well, divine order is inclusive. That's what Neptune's about. That's what all this Pisces energy is about, is that we don't exclude people from, we just don't. I mean, it's not, exclusion is not a cool thing at all. So that's going on. And then all of these trines down to Mars. And now we've got to look at these squares. We have 2 T-squares going on. So let's go back to the moon first, because it's going to move on faster than the other. This one's going to stick for a while. So the moon in this T-square portion of, here, let's do this for a little bit, for a minute. No, that doesn't work. Well, only if there. Okay. So now focus here, and imagine this point here is the mood. And in Libra, the mood is social. It's relationship. It's stimulating relationship. It's engaging. It's being with others and then reflecting on yourself and going back and forth. It's sharing, right? What's it sharing? Well, we've got a square to Pluto. Pluto over here is about control and power. In Aquarius, it should be geared towards humanity and, the law of brotherhood and sisterhood. So we've got a tension field there. But if we put ourselves in the middle and just kind of blend both together, we can get out of the dualistic, tension field and know that we're all one. We're all interdependent on each other. There's no reason to fight. And then over here, if we look at the square over to Mars in Cancer just wants security, right? So this is really important for this morning. It's all about security. Even though it's Sunday, it's not a Monday, but there's still, the stock market, they don't close on the weekends. They keep going all the time, right? And people are looking at their 401ks, and people are looking at their pensions, and people are checking online to see if Social Security is working. I checked into mine last night, and it's fine, and I haven't missed anything yet. But Tim Wall said his mother-in-law did, I think, or somebody did, or his mother. So there's that. That's not so easy, if you have a loved one. Well, thank goodness he can probably take care of her, but, But you know what? I don't want to be taken care of. I want my independence, right? It's great to have people take care of you, but what if you can't pay them back? And to feel dependent on someone else isn't cool. That's not cool, especially when you've worked for that money. It's like having, like I was saying the other day, you have an insurance policy, they're supposed to pay out, right? So we're all questioning these things. So that's the tension field for, this morning especially. But Mars down here, squaring the moon, brings action into that need for rebalance. Rebalance is a real factor coming from this end of it. And then over here, Chiron, the sun, and Eris is, boy, this is a lot of fiery energy that definitely wants independence. So it's independence, security, and coming together with other people and talking about it. And then making adjustments in order to get clear. We're trying to get clear, but Mercury conjunct Neptune, that's not, there's, the only way you get that kind of clarity is with meditation or diving into music or art. If you're a musician or an artist, or I don't have any judge over what kind of art or music you do. We all do our own whatever we love. Whatever way we want to get into that blissful place of unity. That's what Neptune is all about on the highest levels. So Neptune is your higher self. Neptune is the things that we long for. Neptune is envisioning and imprinting a new future. Neptune is our spirituality, our highest levels of creativity. On the challenging side, Neptune is addictions, escaping, chaos, distortion, major distortion, confusion, and most of all, deception. So the question all weekend, but really, coming to a fever pitch early Sunday morning is who's lying, who's cheating, and more people are starting to see the truth because, Mercury's going to be right there. I mean, it's already there, but it's building. It's going to really hit. And then Mercury will go past Neptune. And so, but Mercury, the messenger, and the analyzer, the rational, figure it out, is analyzing who's being deceptive in this little sojourn here. It's pulling away from the North Node and will eventually cross over Neptune. So as the week goes on, we will get, as this month goes on, we will get clearer and clearer. Well, we're clear, but more and more people will get clear. So, yeah, so there's that. And then, of course, you can see the moon is still opposing all of these Aries planets over here, but especially Eris. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about real quick is that just remember that Uranus here is our change agent of enlightenment. And it is in this trine over here to the South Node until June 12th. I spent some time yesterday morning going through, how long these aspects are going to last. So we have this leg of the aspect of the architect. We've got this building aspect here with Uranus at the powerful point because it's the change agent of security being in Taurus. But it's blowing up the trust in the USA economy on the global level. So this is problematic. People with critical thinking skills and who are very well versed in economy will teach us that that's a very bad thing. I don't know if it'll trickle down to everyone, but when they start feeling it, it's not going to be easy. And then maybe they'll listen. I don't know. That's the thing. The South Node at one end over here is connected to the past and all the details of what people did in the past and how this was already in place. This is Project 2025 over here that wants to cause chaos and wants to just be, depressive, anxiety, tyrannical. It's just not... And those aren't Virgo keywords, but that's what Project 2025 is about. Yeah. So that's going on. This change agent of Uranus is gathering facts from the past, and it's all written down already in Project 2025. if people want to do their own research. You can just refer them that way. So, yeah. But, Trump himself has Sun conjunct Uranus. So he's kind of chaotic and all over the place himself. Now, that's not normal for everyone. I have a lot of friends that have Sun conjunct Uranus in Cancer, because they're just a little bit older than me. Well, actually, even young. Well, yeah, born in the early 50s. And they're not chaotic at all. They are super enlightened, but they're my friends, so yeah. So okay. So the 3 sextiles are opportunities up here to make comparison values about the structure of our money and whether or not we're going to allow ourselves to be victimized by the government, and what can we do. We're looking for big ways, or we're looking for all types of ways to change those outcomes best we can. And see where Saturn here is at 25 degrees, 57 minutes, so almost 26 minutes. Uranus is at 25, 21. This sextile here from Saturn, because Venus will move on, because it moves pretty quickly. And Ceres will hook up with Saturn at some point too. I'll have to get a date on that later, but because Ceres is all about nurturing what matters most to us. When it comes to this sextile here, excuse me, from Saturn to Uranus, this is going to, it came into orb March 21st, and it's going to last until April 20th. And it's pretty much an exact orb from April 6th to the 20th, which is what you can see right now. And then after the 20th, Saturn will move forward enough to where it starts to be out of orb, but it's still pretty tight. It's still there. So Saturn sextile Uranus is all about making new opportunities, creating, and it might be kind of like revolutionary, or because some of the keywords for Aquarius are revolutionary and reforming, trying to invent new ways to be safe and secure, or invent new ways to make money, new ways to or waking up, really. Just a lot of times it's about waking up to the fact that you have these principles that you're grounded in this place of peacefulness, and you wake up to you realize that that's a real need, because you can't build on chaos. So Uranus will teach us that, especially when it's in the sign of Taurus. And with Saturn, with the sextile to Saturn, now Saturn in Pisces especially is that solid spiritual path that everyone is at some point in their life going to be at. I think we dance around that threshold a lot, but Saturn is commitment. So there are more and more people committing to their spiritual path because it's a real need. So again, these real needs. Now, sextiles bring in opportunities, but you do have to do the work in order to literally manifest. With Saturn, it's manifesting. So yeah, and then you're with Saturn too. We're always being tested. We have limitations. So yeah, okay. The other thing. Let me see if I go to the tight orb. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to focus on. See this sesquisquare here from Jupiter to Pluto? So again, Jupiter is expansion and growth and healing, and it can be excess though, but because it can be just like go, 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 and you have to. That's why the 2 builders of the zodiac with Jupiter, we expand, And then with Saturn, there's contraction. Now there's, stasis and integration and all that in between, but Saturn is like the form. Jupiter can sometimes just skate over to, it's like the big brush strokes. Saturn is like putting in the detail, so you really have some form. Jupiter is also related to spiritual law, and Saturn usually we look at for man-made law, but they go back and forth. So with this sesquisquadrate up here to Pluto, what we're dealing with there is disruptions and detours to plans that were made in the past. And so here we are again with Jupiter and Gemini. These were big, expansive plans that were put into place, years ago when they started writing Project 2025. Now, there's going to be a disruption to those plans because these just, detached, I guess it's detached is a better way I could describe it for Aquarius, is when you're detached from the heart. And we have Mars getting ready to move into Leo, so there's going to be that, moving forward with courage and more heart space. We do have this opposition going on. I just don't have the exact, orb there. But we will have Mars into Leo next week. So, or, this coming week, in just a few days, actually, because look how it's already at 28 degrees. So, we're headed in that direction. People want that. They want their own creative self-expression. They don't want to be told what to do or what they can't do. And they damn well don't like their money being stolen. And they don't like losing pensions and retirements and being worried that they're going to lose Social Security. And, oh my God, they already took away Medicaid because they're just monsters. And people will rebel against that. And those detours will happen, the big old disruptions to the controlling, which is why, now I know Capricorn rules the devil card, but controlling and cold-heartedness and not caring for other people because it's all about the money, all about me, just don't care about anyone else. It's all for us. And they've got their bros. We've got the broligarchy, but there are detours coming because people are learning. In Gemini, we're talking, we're speaking up, we're gathering facts and information. Remember that, trine going back to the South Node in Virgo, all of the information, it's already been done. They're already doing it. We know what's going on, and more people are going to be learning about that. And so this aspect here, this Jupiter sesquisquare Pluto, it began on the 11th, and it lasts until the 23rd of this month. So we still have another, 10 days. So, yeah. And then on that same day, on the 23rd, the sun squares. By that time, the sun will be, over in here and will square. I wonder if we'll have the sun, if it squares Pluto, it'll be about over here then, yeah. Anyway, this, the sun being the spotlight, right? Like now the spotlight's on the existential fears, and which is again why we had the devil card, and the broligarch, and who's stealing and who's not fighting for us, and who is hiding like a bunch of little wimps and coward, chicken heads, cowardly chicken heads. So there's that. And we're also going to have, let's see, let me go back over to the standard aspects here. Yeah, with this Sun square Mars, that's already in there, of course. and the trine over to Neptune. It's just no matter if, again, I'm at that place of like I'm saying the same thing for the third time, and that's because there are so many aspects telling me the same thing. So I think I'll just stop and get this uploaded, and trust that whatever I missed will come through tomorrow or eventually. Unless I totally missed something. And if I do, you guys, if you're into astrology, drop it in the comments. I love support that way. So, okay, take good care. Bye.